Elwynn Forest was an introduction for many players into the World of Warcraft, the beginning of an adventure that changed lives, created lasting memories, and opened the door to an entire world brimming with lore. An adventure that started here in Northshire Abbey. The Abbey is home to an order called the Brotherhood of Northshire. The Brotherhood was established by a group of clerics that hailed from the Kingdom of Lordaeron, but only on their second try. It turns out that when you turn a church into a makeshift prisoner of war camp during a catastrophic orc invasion, it tends to become the target of said orc invasion. Surprisingly though, it was a band of human warriors that first attacked the Abbey, convinced by the agents of the Old Horde back in Warcraft 1, starting the downfall and eventual capture of the church. In Warcraft 2, the Abbey is under the control of the Twilight Hammer clan. It was used as headquarters for Cho'Gall and his forces who had allied themselves with Gul'dan. It is only after the Abbey is liberated by the Alliance of Lordaeron that the Brotherhood of Northshire is successfully established, where they run the Abbey to this day. In vanilla World of Warcraft, the Abbey is used as a focal point for recruiting young and promising adventurers. You see, the kingdom is a bit short on manpower at this time, mostly due to the meddling of the Black Dragon Onyxia, who has effectively taken control of the region through using Anduin as a puppet. During her watch, she has allowed kobolds, wildlife, and gangsters to infest Elwynn Forest. Even a book presumably written by Khadgar himself, titled Powers of the Void, falls into the hands of the Defias Brotherhood. I'm sure nothing bad will happen from the wrong kind of people reading that kind of book. But a little side note before we move down the road, I have no idea what they were actually doing with this abbey in the first place. The original location had various side tunnels. It was these tunnels that were converted into the prisons of the orcs and ogres in Warcraft 1. But they were also infested with things like spiders, scorpions, slimes, and skeletons, who only attacked the orcs. They were never hostile to the humans. Even the ogres held prisoner here only ever attacked the orcs and not the humans. Which only makes sense if they were really good at their indoctrination practices here. So I'd keep an eye out on the Abbey. We still haven't found signs of those old tunnels, and records show that some weird stuff happens down there. How about we move on to something more normal? Just down the road is... oh no. Goldshire has seen its fair share of troubles dating back to even before Warcraft 1. During the Null Wars, it was attacked prior to the sacking of Stormwind. During the first war against the Orcs, it was the final town to be attacked prior to the sacking of Stormwind. During Wrath of the Lich King, it gets attacked by the Scourge prior to the sacking of Okay, I'm starting to see the pattern here. The town's close proximity to Stormwind has had it become the hub of both raving adventurers and raging enemies of the kingdom. Its key location on the main road through the forest has Goldshire connect to Stormwind, Westfall, and Red Ridge Mountains, making it a bustling trade hub and resting point for wary adventurers. However, with the kingdom's forces stretched thin, the adventurers that journey here are called upon to help with local threats, including retaking mines, settling farm family differences, which I would like to point out, one of the farms here is literally a rock farm. I know that these look like watermelons, but that is exactly what they want you to think. This is the Stonefield Farm, home of the Stonefield family. You don't get a name like that by growing melons. I swear those are rocks, I just can't. As soon as the adventurers start to suspect the Stonefields, the local marshals send them away to go aid the forest's industrial hub. The Eastvale logging camp is home to the kingdom's premier source of timber. Seeing as Elwynn Forest is surrounded by farmland, a war zone, a cursed forest, and a massive volcano, it's the best place for this kind of industry in the heart of the kingdom. However, due to that very geography, the logging camp has the worst of Elwynn's wildlife issues. Murlocs control the shores of the lake to the north. All around the camp, bears and wolves make venturing out unsafe for the workers. Not to mention, the farm to the south has been completely overrun by the Defias Brotherhood. This is one of the few locations that the Stormwind Guard has gotten actively involved in. The only problem is that it didn't go too well, leaving the problems to the local adventurers yet again. Tasks vary from collecting piles of lumber left by the workers when they fled from wildlife, to scaring off the Defias Brotherhood who have been stealing from the camp due to the lack of presence from the guard after the Murloc incident. Our aid to the camp does not go forgotten, however, as long after the problems have been dealt with by the adventurers, the Eastvalians offer the opportunity for humans and other Alliance races to purchase some of the finest horses in the kingdom, a token of thanks in an age of struggle, speeding up travel times and offering a trusty companion to those who venture alone. Speaking of the lake nearby, Stonecairn Lake, I think that's how it's pronounced, was the location of a fierce battle during the First War against the Orcs. Sometimes referred to as Heroes' Vigil, a grand monument sits upon the island that inhabits the lake, commemorating those that fell in battle defending the kingdom. While in-game, not many players will interact with the lake at all, it was once a spot of pilgrimage for those that follow the Holy Light. It has since been taken over by a bunch of wizards who have gone rogue. That's not to say they're multi-classing into rogue, they're kinda just here, and will attack anyone they see on the island. Maybe this is why the gnolls in the area are afraid to cross the lake. As a last little note here, apparently a cairn is a man-made pile of stones. So like Stonehenge, or the Stonefield Farm. I heckin' knew it, I am so close to finding out the secret. The forest edge is the final location we'll talk about today. As previously and briefly mentioned, even before the orc invasion, Elwynn Forest saw a gnoll threat like no other. The tribes banded together to sack the kingdom's capital itself, leading to its first major defeat. Once again, that threat rises in the form of a gnoll pack leader named Hogger, one of the most well-known enemies in World of Warcraft. He is responsible for the first major uniting of the gnoll tribes since the conflict of old. Luckily, the area is home to the Westbrook garrison, preventing the gnolls from making too much headway out of Westfall and towards Stormwind itself. If you ignore that tribe near the lake, that is. It was this garrison that was instrumental in fighting back the Defias Brotherhood when they too invaded Elwynn Forest. But between Anixia's meddling and the recent conflicts, it has left them too weak to actually deal with the threat that Hogger poses, once again leading to the required intervention of ever-growing adventurers, who have been hardened and steeled in the fires of battle across the forest, leading to an epic duel with the gnoll leader and a handsome reward for his defeat. Elwynn's history is that of strife, perseverance, and the comfort in knowing that there will always be an adventurer to bail you out.